It's Sunday, so you know what that means. Another edition of West Coast Bias right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network, starring the one and only Doual, O'Malley, and Double K. Take it away.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello, y'all, and welcome back to the show that everybody knows they loves, and you know you miss us when we're gone. West Coast Bias. I am here. Unfortunately, O'Malley couldn't make it this week, but we do have the one and only Doual in the house. So, what's up, Doual?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. All right, man. So, yeah, like a lot has happened since the last time we did an episode, and I mean a lot of major stuff. But let's start with the top of the pillar as far as I'm concerned when it comes to sports stories, and that is two stories coming out of Las Vegas. The first that we'll touch on will be Henry Ruggs and him basically fucking up his entire career over nothing. And I'll get into what I mean by that in a little bit. And then also John Gruden's firing or resignation as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's start with Ruggs. For those of you who don't know what happened, Henry Ruggs III, who was basically the top wideout target for Derek Carr for the Las Vegas Raiders for most of this season, outside of Darren Waller, has basically damn near might have put an end to his life as a free man and definitely put an end to his career as an Oakland Raider. About a month or so ago, he was arrested for he was arrested for a DWI and is being charged with DWI and a DWI resulting in death for traveling at what was recorded at 156 miles an hour down the strip, and he slammed into another car that had a woman and her dog in it, and the ensuing crash caused a fire that effectively killed both her and her dog. Ruggs was given a sobriety test and arrested on the scene. He was almost twice the legal limit. Doual, I'll let you kick us off, brother. Your thoughts on this young man and his decisions that may have basically ended his life as a free man. I don't think he'll get life, but I think the max he can get is 20 years. But shit, the man will be almost in his 50s by the time he gets out if he does max sentence.
I guess an unfortunate situation for everyone involved. You know, the young lady that lost her life, and definitely Henry Ruggs and his family. But that's the reason why they say don't drink and drive, and that's the main one right there. So that's it's a lot to think about. It gives you a lot to think about, and then. To be driving that fast, on a residential street, it's, some things are just inexcusable, and there's really no excuse in drinking and driving. Don't know what happened in the car, what was going on in that whole situation. As to why he was driving that fast to begin with, but it's just rather unfortunate.
Well, obviously, the most unfortunate thing about it is that a life was lost, due to the recklessness. If he had just crashed his car, I don't know if necessarily it would have been as big of a deal, but a life was lost because of a decision that he made. And, I told this story on Double K's Classroom a couple of weeks ago, and I persistently like to tell this story to people. But, Doobie, I've told you multiple times before this story. When I was working at Double and Applebee's, Joey Porter and Eric Barton from the Raiders used to always come in. And they came in one night with another young man that was a part of their group. That was a friend of Joey's from college, from when they went to USC. And normally Jerry and Eric would put away about 3 or 4 tall beers apiece. Tonight, Eric was putting them away. His friend was putting them away, but Joey wasn't drinking. So, of course, being inquisitive, I asked him why. He proceeded to take me outside and show me a beautiful fucking Jaguar. And he looks me dead in the eye and says, I just paid $100,000+ for that car, used. If you think there is going to be any amount of alcohol a sip of alcohol that's going to cross my lips when I know I got to get behind the wheel of that, you're out your fucking mind. I looked at him, threw my hands up in the air. Hey, bro, you want another glass of water? How about I buy you some fries? Because I understand that. Now, he had his reason of being behind the wheel of a $100,000 car. Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't give a shit about it because $100,000 ain't nothing but throwaway money to them. But at the end of the day, his thought process was this car was too valuable to him to do that. And I tell that story because not all NFL players are that reckless, or as reckless as Henry Ruggs was. 'Cause first and foremost, when you're making millions of dollars a year, hell, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, there is no reason on God's green earth for you to be getting behind the wheel of a car after you've had a drink. You have more than enough money to rent a car service. You have more than enough money to rent a car service for the night. It don't cost at max to get the nicest car with the best driver and everything like that. $500 for the night. I can guarantee you can afford $500 if you're an NFL player, especially one at Ruggs level. Okay, who was drafted in the first round. I can guarantee you can afford $500 for a night. So the fact that he chose to drive instead of getting a car service or a taxi cab, which are driving up and down the strip 24/7, is where I fault him the most. All of this could have been avoided by you just choosing to have somebody else drive you around instead of wanting to drive yourself. But at the end of the day, he's going to pay for it. Like I said, this may cost him a good portion of his prime years of his life. Instead of being an NFL future Hall of Fame wide receiver, he's going to be inmate number blah, 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 blah in a Nevada correctional facility. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. It hurt me personally because I had Ruggs on like 3 of my fucking fantasy teams. But that's beside the point. Okay. He did something extremely stupid, and he's going to pay for it. But it brings me around to this point, Doobie, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Me and Suave were talking a couple of weeks back after this happened, and we were saying we don't understand why the NFL, there are a couple of different national car services that like they have in almost every major city. They have a business that's a car service. Why hasn't the NFL partnered with one of these places to create a nationwide thing where when these athletes want to go out and drink, they can call a car service and it's on the NFL. It's paid for by the NFL. They ain't even got to pay for it themselves. The tab is sent to the big bosses, Goodell and the boys. Just to keep them from even wanting. What's up?
I thought that was something that they already did.
Is it? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the logistics of it.
I think I've heard. Right. I think I've heard of some sort of service or something like that that's been offered or is around. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But I think that is, you know what I'm saying, true. And if it's not, then, the only proper reason I could say You know, you can't. There was a reason why God had to go out and find the lost sheep.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You can't monitor everybody. You can't watch unless you're at a daycare.
Yeah.
Okay? You
I
can't
feel you.
you can't keep your eyes and your hands on everything that everybody's doing all the time as an employer. So you have to have that amount of leeway. You can set rules in place and guidelines and order and everything else like that, but you just literally can't monitor what people are doing all the time. It's impossible, even with this COVID. Right?
Yeah.
You trying to monitor, everybody's vaccination status and this, that, and the other. And, look at all that's going around with that. You got Kyrie Irving situation, Roger situation, all this other stuff. So, you just have to have that leeway and a certain amount of trust that people aren't just you have to have that trust that people just aren't going to do something completely incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Or make a life-changing, life-altering decision. And to do something, like what's being discussed. So you just don't see it coming. Nobody saw this coming.
Oh yeah.
Nobody did. So
nobody could have. All right, so let's move from there over to something that. All right, so for those of you, once again, if you ain't been paying attention, NFL recently completed investigation into the Washington football team. And it wasn't an investigation of anything that they did wrong on the field. It was an investigation into what was happening at HQ, the type of environment that the people there were working in. And it was one where, man, I tell you, I didn't expect this to happen. Midway through this season, it was released that there were some emails collected during this investigation from the one and only John Gruden, who I've given praise to on multiple occasions for the way that he ran the Raiders, for his run with the Tampa Bay Bucks, etc. Mr. Gruden was found to have said what some people would consider highly offensive things, calling Roger Goodell a slur for gay folk, making some racial comments about some of the players on some of the teams. Now, mind you, just keep in mind, folks, at the beginning of the day, John Gruden was not working for the NFL at the time in which those emails were sent to Bruce Snyder, the guy that was the owner, or Bruce Allen, the guy that's the owner of the Washington Redskins. Gruden was employed by ESPN as a analyst at that time. But these emails were sent, these emails were read, and these emails were, to an extent, the emails themselves have not been released, but it was put out there by some people what was in the emails. And evidently there was misogynistic language, there was homophobic language, there was racially insensitive language, all used and things said by Gruden in the letters. Well, this resulted in John Gruden, and I'm doing air quotes for those of you because we don't do this on YouTube, resigned. And moved on with his life, so to speak, before coming back and now suing the NFL for wrongful termination, something that I think is complete bullshit, bro. If you wrote the emails, then they had a right to fire you. But we'll see what happens. But Doobie, your thoughts just kind of overhearing that overall thing about what went down with John Gruden and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Man. Politics have no place in sports. Period.
Okay.
Period. You should be concentrating on the sport. Instead, we are talking about this man's emails that were read through and released and everything else like that.
Yeah.
So, again, politics have no place in sport. Like, if you tell me the man was racist, first of all, I'm not surprised. 'Cause, we all know it's a good old boy network anyway.
Right.
Been knowing that for years. It's been said. It's been talked about. It's been, established. All it's written about everything. So we've known this for years. Okay. So to fire him over some emails that, first of all, he quit. He wasn't fired. He quit.
Right.
Okay?
He resigned.
He resigned. And a lot of that has to do with the whole cancel culture. Oh, he said this, and he said that, and he said this. Okay, well, you know what? It's a lot of stuff that's said behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of stuff that's said in private emails and so on and so forth that's been back and forth between a lot of people. Let's take the NFL out of it. Let's take that out of it. It's just, people. Okay? I've seen text messages and emails that had no business. You know what I'm saying? Things that may be considered offensive. Why? Because I'm talking to somebody that I know. Okay?
Yeah.
What I'm talking to that person about has nothing to do with you. Okay?
Very true.
But this is why, this is why we live in this whole cancel culture and all this other stuff. Because people want to take the worst part of it. They want to take the worst 5 minutes of your life and magnify that and turn that into the next 15 years of your life.
Yeah.
Okay? So me personally, whether it was John Gruden or John Madden, or if it was Dennis Cook, you know what I'm saying, or Mike Singletary, you know what I'm saying, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's that man's business. You feel me? Not only is that man's business, that's that man's life. Leave people personal shit alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? This whole attack you culture because I don't like something you said is full of bullshit. It's full of sensitive ass people who don't know how to, you know what I'm saying, how to, first of all, leave other people's business alone. Second of all, get the stage and the platform to put themselves up on to make themselves look important, that their opinion is important. You feel me? And third, like, it's you're not the media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where social media, Facebook, Twitter, all this other stuff has got people confused. People think that they're the media and it's their job to report every single thing. It's not. That's not what it's for. You know what I'm saying? For you to sit up here and be exposing and hating, you feel me? It is taking hate to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because now you can band together with other people who have who need a platform and an opinion. You can hate on everybody else with them. You understand what I'm saying? And that's exactly what was. It hadn't happened with John Gruden yet, so to say. Who's to say it was? But that's the era in which we live. Which is the only thing that needs to be canceled is the whole cancel culture. You understand what I'm saying? Knock that shit off.
Well, I can say this. I completely agree with you that I'm not about cancel culture and that shit's kind of got to go. But here's where we kind of part ways with the specific John Gruden situation. If I was the father of a young man playing high school football or college football, and I found out that his coach was calling him a monkey lip this and a da-da-da that in emails and phone calls behind my child's back, and then when they came and saw us, they smiling and laughing. Mr. and Mrs. Kendrick, good to see you. Yeah, little Larry, he's a great player. Love having him on the field. But then behind the scenes, he's calling them nigga this and nigga that and monkey. Oh, I'd want to beat the holy fucking shit out of that coach. Don't play like you cool to my face and then turn around and be saying this shit behind my back. And that's the part where I part ways with you when it comes to John Gruden. John Gruden gave this image like he was a everybody guy. He made it a point to make it seem like he was all about everybody. He made it a point to make a big speech about how it was great to have Carl Nassib, one of the first openly gay players on his team, so on and so forth. But Lord knows what he was saying about that man when he got home. And it's the false facade that Gruden put up. That if Gruden had been open and honest about saying this shit and all of that, and there have been reports about him calling black players N-word back in the day and all of that, and okay, he is what he is. He shows you exactly what he is, and he is exactly that. It doesn't surprise me. But John Gruden put up one image when he was on the screen and was doing something completely different behind the scenes. And that's, for me, where I was like, well, dude, you know what? You shouldn't have been playing that game. You should have just been you from the get-go. And then people could have had respect for you. Yeah, you're right. You probably would have never gotten a job in the NFL. He probably would have never made it out of his small town or out of that small college if he made it that far. But at least he'd have been being true to himself. And so at the end of the day, where I drew the problem with it is, it's just like right after he got fired, Carl Nassib, the guy who, like I said, the openly gay player on the Raiders, had to take some mental time off because this man that he idolized and looked up to and was like almost a father figure to him turned out to be this racist piece of shit. And so that hurts people on a deeper level than just, oh, my coach was an asshole. Shit, most players, 90% of players will tell you at some point during your career, if you go from playing Pee Wee League to high school to college to pros, you're going to run across a couple of asshole coaches. You are. You're going to run across a couple of guys that you're like, yeah, fuck that guy. Okay, so it's not a big deal. It's a big deal because of the fact that he presented himself as one thing, which is part of the reason why he chose to resign. It's because he understood that his past was his hidden secrets were now catching up with him, were being exposed, and they were now catching up with him. But I do agree, like it's weird because I do agree that cancel culture needs to go. But I think in the situation of John Gruden, I think he got exactly what he deserved. Like, to be honest with you, like, and like, what was it? It was the day afterwards. The Raiders played a game, and they showed, I guess, Gruden's son is still working for the Raiders organization. And the announcer's like, oh, man, I got to feel sorry for him with all this shit. No, I don't feel not a damn bit of sorry for his son either. You want to know why? You done lived with your daddy on and off for 20-something years, 30-something years. You knew your daddy was like that. You knew that. This isn't new. This isn't surprising. You knew. You ain't lived with your daddy for the first 18 years of your life and not hear him say a racial slur or some bullshit about maybe one of your friends or somebody at your school or some shit or one of his players. So you knew. But at the end of the day, I do get what you're saying about like people like you trying to use social media and Twitter and Facebook. Like I hate all this bullshit about boycott this place, boycott that place. Man, get the fuck out of here. If I like eating a McDonald's hamburger, I'm going to fucking go eat a McDonald's hamburger. I don't give a shit what you find out about the McDonald's CEO. Only place I won't eat is fucking Chick-fil-A, and that's because the dude outright was quoted as saying he doesn't really want black people eating it and fuck gay and lesbian people and all that shit. Okay, well then, dude, you ain't getting no more of my money. But I'm not trying to rally others to boycott it. I just don't eat Chick-fil-A no more. It's a personal choice. And so it's one of those type of things where, yeah, the social media, it's kind of twisted everything as far as news, because people believe shit that they read on Facebook without ever researching it or finding out if there's something more to it. Sometimes without even reading an article, they just go off on a tangent after just reading a headline. And that's the stupidity of the world today, which is why cancel culture is really, really a retarded thing. Like, shit, you'd have had to cancel every popular person, every popular comic in the 70s if cancel culture existed back then. Fucking George Carlin, fucking Richard Pryor, fucking Red Fox, all of them would have been canceled with the shit they were saying. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Gruden falls underneath the cancel culture epidemic. I think Gruden, in my personal opinion, like I said, I don't state this as fact, but in my personal opinion, got exactly what it was just the chickens coming home to roost. He had hid this shit for long enough. And now it was just all of a sudden coming out. Now, mind you, the only other thing that I'll kind of fire back against is that you were saying that they think it's social. The media, the actual sports media, is the one who broke this story. And it was because they kind of felt like John Gruden needed to be exposed for who he really was. Mainly because John Gruden consistently puts up this I'm that everyman image. So I do to wrap up. I do agree with you about the cancel culture. I just don't necessarily agree that it applies to John Gruden in general. Because personally, you can't get pissed when you write an email at work and somebody sees it. Because almost every contract that you sign for any job where you have to send emails through a work server, if you read through the fine print, it tells you that they go through every single email. And they read every single email to make sure that there's not shit being done that's not supposed to be done. So, you know what, Gruden, you sent that through a work email. This wasn't a personal email. These were work email to an NFL email. Bro, you know those emails are being read. So you had to know this shit was going to come back to bite you at some point in your life. Because you did it in a public, it's almost like doing it in a public forum. Because those jobs, so on and so forth, have the right to go through your emails and do all of that. But at the end of the day, the Raiders have a new coach. They seem to be doing okay. And John Gruden's going to try to sue the NFL. Like I said, I don't think he has a case. Because like I said, he wrote it on work emails through ESPN. He wrote it to another work email at an NFL with Bruce Allen at the NFL email. So this is just chickens coming home to roost. So, but needless to say, John Gruden will pop back up somewhere. I'm pretty sure some college will hire him. Regardless of everything that's going on, some college will hire him, and he'll get back into coaching, or Fox will hire him as a correspondent for their Sunday NFL. He'll pop back up somewhere. This ain't the end of his career. So, but I hope from now moving forward, he's more honest with people when he's dealing with them face to face about who he is. Because there's a lot of people hurt and shocked by what they found out about John Gruden. Me being one of them. I praised the man for a long time. So I was shocked and a little hurt to find out that that's the way he looked at some of his players and what was going on. But all right. That'll actually carry us through the first half hour. Like I promised you, we're only doing an hour show today. So we're going to get to these commercial breaks, and then we're going to come back and talk a little basketball. You good with that, dude?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, player. All right, y'all. So thank you for listening in to West Coast Bias right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. Be sure to keep listening in. We got another half hour to go. We got 4 quick promo breaks, and then we'll be back to talk more sports. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Hey guys, this is Venice, and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav in full effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here for Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Has.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Cause they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them. So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is, check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
Hey guys and gals, this is Double KK Double. What if I told you there was a show where you could listen to two avid fans talk pro wrestling, movies, and comics? Well, there is, and it's called the Cheap Pop Podcast with K Double and Alpha, and it's on every Sunday night at 5 p.m. on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com. Imagine this. It's Friday night. You're at home wishing you can listen to an amazing playlist of some of your favorite music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Pop, rock, whatever. Then take out your favorite podcast listening device and tune in to KD5P, otherwise known as K Double's 5th period music class. Every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, K Double brings you some of your favorite tunes live on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network on Live 365. All right, and we are back to talk some NBA. But before we start that, I do want to give a quick shout out to the Saint who's listening in tonight. Thanks for listening in, bro. He's the host of Now versus Then and several other shows. He's got it all going on, Twitch and Live 365 right here on Spreaker. Like, the man's got it all going on. So let me just give a shout out to the Saint and say what's up before we dive into what's probably going to be one of his favorite subjects this half hour. The first part that we're going to dive into is just kind of the NBA altogether, which has been rocking this year. You got a lot of solid teams playing. You got Brooklyn kind of dominating out east. You got the Dubs on top of the West, which is what we'll get to in a little bit. And yeah, you got Phoenix, who's hot as hell. They've won 16 straight after starting out 1-3. So, like, looks like it's gonna be a good year. Doobie, why don't you give us some overall thoughts before we dive into the two specific West Coast teams for the rest of this half of the episode?
Yeah, it's good. It's different. It's good to see basketball back for a full season. After a full off season, and see how these guys are really coming into to the regular season. Phoenix is surprising. Chicago is surprising. And I like what they've done. Their teams. Brooklyn looks good. You're worried about Ben Simmons and the Kyrie Irving situations and how they'll play out, but I like it so far. Basketball is back.
Well, and man, I would say this. With the Kyrie situation, it is what it is, man. You have a choice. You made a choice. You're accepting the consequences of the choice. I have nothing but respect for the man. I do understand people like Stephen A's point when they say that he's kind of letting down the people that he brought to Brooklyn, but it's his choice. It's not him not being vaccinated is not the part that I have any issue with him about, because that's his personal choice. And like I said, he's accepting the consequences of not being able to play basketball for his choice, and he's not bitching and whining about it. So, bravo to him. The Ben Simmons situation, I think he has Philadelphia over a barrel. And I think genuinely Philly needs to just let him go for whatever they can fucking get for him. Because this package that they're trying to get with 2 all-stars and first-round draft picks and future first-round draft picks and all this bullshit, bro, ain't nobody giving that up for him. Ain't nobody giving that shit up for him. So,
well, he hasn't proven himself to be worthy. Teams, Philly asking for an amount, of compensation. I don't believe he's had any All-Star appearances.
Yeah.
Today in his career, I'm not privy to all his personal accolades, but there aren't many. And not only that, but his play. He's an exceptional player, an exceptional talent. Don't get me wrong, but he's severely underdeveloped in key areas. Obviously, the main area being shooting and scoring the ball. He can score the ball, but he's not a scorer. He can't shoot. Let's just get that. Let's just get that out.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
And you're right. In areas of today's game where you need to be severely advanced, he's severely underdeveloped. And that's not entirely his own fault, right? You got to put some of the blame on Philly, because as an organization, it is up to you to develop players, or assist players in developing their the weaknesses in their game. So if you got players that just aren't gym rats like that and don't want to be in the gym and don't want to work on their game during the off season, that's fine. But at least you know what you're dealing with. It's still partially up to you. And if you see that that's not that type of player, that's not in the gym working on their game like that, you still want them to be a part of your organization, that's fine. Again, everybody's different. Everybody works different, everybody plays different, everybody's on different levels. My issue is it's a stalemate situation that everybody knows. My issue with Philly is you're not just holding him back, you're kind of holding yourselves back. Holding that contract on the book, not holding that roster space open that you could potentially open up and develop for other players, and that in turn provides a type of uncertainty, just in terms of what's going on the court. We're not even going to address the locker room. Let's just address the on the court issue. So it'll take minutes. Position, just different little stuff that where you don't know if he's going to be there or if he's not going to be there. And as the Philadelphia organization, you're putting yourself in that position of uncertainty. Then, not in every situation, but in a lot of situations, sometimes you shut up and play ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes you put your feelings to the side and go out there and handle business on the court. He can improve his situation. He doesn't have to sit in Philly. All he do is go play ball. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with that is, if he no longer wants to play for this organization, okay? You see what Houston did to Harden.
Yeah.
This guy's all-star MVP. He's backed out. They traded him. He got to act in the ass, act in the fool. He didn't want to show up to camp, showing up, out of shape, overweight, so on and so forth. They shipped him out. He demanded to be traded. They found the trade, and they shipped him out. Mm-hmm. The Phillies got to do the same thing. Once you're no longer getting a return on your investment, it's time to pull from the stock.
Exactly.
Pull away from the stock.
No, 100%. I think it's just that's why I say I think it's at a point where Philly needs to lower their expectations for what they get for him in order to facilitate that trade, because Philly's just asking for too much and ain't nobody willing to give him up. I heard that they were working on a deal with Sacramento and were trying to get De'Aaron Fox and fucking was it Buddy Hield or was it Barnes? Like it was like two of their top players, and Sacramento's like no. It's like just no. For a dude that we don't even know if he's going to really want to show up, and if he doesn't want to be here, he's going to sit at home. No, we're good. So yeah, I think you're 100% right. But we're going to kind of get off of those stories right there and move forward to the Golden State Warriors, who currently sit a game ahead of Phoenix with the best record in all of basketball at 18-2. This team is playing damn good team basketball, a lot better than they were last year. Some of that has to do with their new additions like Otto Porter Jr., who's staying healthy and producing, or Niamin Belika, I think is the name, or Niamina Belika, I forget how to pronounce the name, but that dude from Sacramento. And just, yeah, like they've put together a winning squad, and they've still yet to get Klay Thompson back, who's due back within the next month, and James Wiseman, who's due back within the next month. Kuminga has looked decent. He's still very raw, but he looks decent. And same thing with Moses Moody. So, but Jordan Poole, by my vote, before I let you take this over, is the breakout star on the Warriors this season. Like, I don't think a lot of people saw him coming. I liked the kid when he played for Michigan. But yeah, this kid just was getting it done. So, Doobie, your thoughts on the Warriors' 18-2 start to the season?
I mean, it looked like the Warriors. This is what was expected of them, and they're expected to kind of play at this level. And so, this is what they do. They're a good team. They got a lot of good pieces. Those pieces are coming together. So, to me, they're pretty much meeting expectations. Expected them to be competing for a championship. When Klay comes back. And when you bring in guys like Gruden and Porter and so on and so forth, you have those high expectations. So they're playing well. They're playing great ball, but they're also doing as expected.
Yeah, very much so. And see, I would say only place that I part ways with you is that I expected them to do well, but I capped them at like a 4 seed or a 5 seed because I expected them to struggle coming up to Klay's return. And I will say that even as a Warriors fan, I just kind of expected us to be kind of 500 or floating slightly above water, maybe 2 or 3 games above 500 when Klay got back. Not best record in the league. Like, if you saw that coming, bravo, man, because I did not. I saw a solid team, but wow. I saw a lot of ifs, and those ifs just happened to fall into place.
I mean, it was for me, it was easy. If you look at the 2019 season, that's just 2 years removed.
Yeah.
Okay, from that 2019 season. And again, last year, they nearly made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if you look at the team last year where they struggled, you know what I'm saying, they were able to kind of put it together and pick up the pieces, as the year progressed. Nearly made the playoffs, made it to the playing game. Right?
Right on. Yep.
So, again, what they do well, they do 2 things well. They play with pace, and they move the basketball offensively. And they're very well connected. So, you saw it coming back to that championship form. Because you know what Steph can do. But you were always just worried about how did Wiggins fit in, how did Oubre fit, how did, certain other little pieces, go together. And they just didn't really quite all come together. What they do well is they manage their personnel phenomenally. So they bring back a lot of the core pieces, and then they add pieces that are going to complement, the core pieces that they got. Right. So for me, so for me, it was no doubt. For me, it was like, okay, they should be the number one because this isn't a team that's far removed from that 2019 team.
From being
or those, championship. So, right. So again, if they weren't playing this well, I'd be like, okay, maybe it's going to take some time. Okay, maybe after Klay comes back. But the fact that they are playing this well right now is blows up like that.
For sure. All right, so one quick thought before we talk a little bit more. But, I mean, I've been wanting to get your opinion on this dude, like, for a while now. Gary Payton II. That kid has turned himself into a Swiss fucking Army knife. He has given this team, I believe, like 20 on one night. He had 2 or 3 steals in another game in which he had like 5 or 10 points. The kid's been all over, and not to mention the dunk highlight reel that he's put together in the first month or two of this season. What are your thoughts on this kid and his emergence as the 15th man off the Warriors bench?
His story to date, you know what I'm saying, to this point, is an example of what I was saying about the importance of player development.
Yeah.
Player development is a difference between him and the team. Okay? You got a guy, and don't get me wrong, he's always been, good. He's always been exceptional. You understand what I'm saying? But it's his development, okay? His own individual effort that he's putting in, and then behind that, the effort that the organization is needing.
Right.
Okay? Development. He's developed a better shot. He's become a better ball handler. He's become a better defensive player. He's become more athletic. He's become the Gary Payton that you see right now through hard work, effort, and the commitment to bettering his own individual game, accompanied with that of the people around him. So, excuse me, don't get me wrong. I like the guy and I like where he's going, but it's development. Development. This is why Damian Lillard stayed 4 years at almost unknown university.
Yeah,
and was drafted 6th overall. Development. Yeah. He committed himself to his development over those years. This is why guys like DeMar DeRozan, look what he's doing right now with Chicago. He developed his game over the years, okay, but it's been a continuous development. Same thing with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine comes into the league and he's on a bounce, really. I mean, he can play, he can do other things, but what he's exceptional at is to that lane and dunk. Look at him now. He's able to finish floaters. You know what I'm saying? He's able to shoot the balls, become a better ball handler, more efficient scorer. Development. Look at Giannis. Giannis had to get and look at Giannis.
Antetokounmpo.
Look at look at where he started at, right? And then you look at his eventual climb to becoming an NBA champion last year. Development, right? Consistently got better. So he's not just a guy who can go coast to coast and dunk the ball now. Now he's becoming a guy who can lightweight shoot from around that circle area. Who can shoot from the 3-point line. Who can take the ball, you know what I'm saying, 15 feet away from the basket. He will turn the face. Now he's a guy that he developed his game to a point now where he is that man. When Ben Simmons gets that type of work ethic and development in his game, then he can call his own shots. And then he can buy his own ticket.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, Gary Payton is a warrior, yeah. But how many teams are going to come calling for him from the offense?
Yeah, very true.
Right? If he continues to play at this level, if he continues to show his continuous development, that hey, I'm one of those guys. I can go be an elite point guard for one of these teams looking for an elite point guard. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple teams out there. Yeah. Teams are going to come calling for him because he's put in the work. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And the Warriors are going to try to keep him in house as well. They're really good at realizing what they have and trying to make sure that they pay whatever it takes to keep these people here. All right. So on the other side of the board, we have the Lakers this season. Nowhere near a disappointment. Like with all their injuries and everything that's happened, they've had some issues this year with keeping bodies on the floor. But at 10 and 11, with all of the money and big names that were brought in to the team during the offseason, I don't know. I know I didn't see the Lakers ending up here this deep into the season. I'm not saying they can't get to the playoffs and win a championship. They have the talent to do that. But not if they're continuing to play like they're playing right now. They just recently came off a 3 overtime loss to the Sacramento Kings, which are a good, young, up-and-coming team. But you would think that that's a team that a LeBron-led Lakers should have been able to handle. But it is what it is. But what are your thoughts on the Lake Show and their path so far this season?
I had old car, like a 68 Chevelle, something, you know what I'm saying? One of those old school classic. Well, you know, you let the car sit in the garage for too long, it's going to take a while before you know what I'm saying, before it starts, right? You can hit that gas a few times and can try and, you know, click it over a few times. You know, you may have to change the battery, get it jump, you know, and that's what the Lakers are right now. They're that car, that old school, that classic that you've been had sitting in the garage for the past year and a half. And it's just been sitting. Now you want to take it up and take it out for a spin, but it's just taking a while to get it started, and you got to figure out, well, why is the car not started yet? Why aren't we going and moving the way, you know what I'm saying, we should be? It's a couple different things. You know, it could be the battery, which, you know, hey, it's a lot of different things. First of all, you can't come into the season expecting that just because you have this collection of talent that you're going to be that good. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. You know, it seems as though the Lakers' approach is, okay, it's going to take the entire season. The problem with that is when you got teams like Golden State and Phoenix who are playing out of their mind basketball this early, they're only going to get that much better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you don't want to put yourselves into a position where you're just catching up, you know, to a level in which they were playing at the beginning of the season or mid-season, you know, when it comes playoff time. So that there, what that is saying is, what else is wrong is, you know, like, you have to define guys' roles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Melo knows what he is. Melo knows he's coming off the bench. Melo knows he's a sixth man. Melo knows he's going to come in, he's going to shoot, he's going to get buckets. He's got that great fight. So you really kind of see him playing at, you know, not just a level he was playing at in Portland the past couple of years, but, you know, he's stepping his game up.
Yeah.
How is first of all the Westbrook LeBron James combination going to work, right? And when are we going to have enough time with both these guys on the floor to actually see it become a work in progress and development? Because, you know, they're two very ball dominant guys, so on and so forth. They both do a lot of creating with the ball in their hands, and don't play very much off the ball. You know, and again, it is the other night against Sacramento. I think they both had 30 and 10, something.
Yeah, 30 and 11.
They both had 30 and 11 big time double doubles. Okay, so we see it working there. But this is a triple overtime game against Sacramento. Why is that? They're not playing well defensively this year. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of holes. It's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. You know, they got to get the battery changed. They got to get the new tires. You know, the tires flat. They got to tickle the starter. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different things the Lakers have to do to get that old car started and going. You know, but once you get it going, and once you get that thing on the freeway, right, and you get it at top speed and performing again, right, then you gotta see muscle car in. Yeah. You know, the problem is it's gonna take some work especially during this first half, you know, up until January, to figure out what's wrong, what needs to be fixed, and how to get the thing moving right.
I'm 100% in agreement. You know, I used the Heat the first year. Yeah, they ended up going to the finals, but if you remember the first year the Heat were together, that was a pretty rough start to the season. You know, and they had to figure some things out. And I think this Lakers squad does. But like you said, I think their biggest challenge is going to be when they finally pick up and get going to where teams like Golden State and Phoenix already are. it's going to be that much tougher for them come playoff time to continue to roll and beat one of those teams if those teams are still playing hot come towards the end of the season.
You don't even wait too long to find your chemistry and to find your rhythm. You don't wait till April,
right.
You know, in May. You really need to have that chemistry and that rhythm established around All-Star break.
Yep. Not to mention the fact that you don't want to allow this chemistry, the trying to figure out what's wrong, to go on for so long that you end up back in the play-in game, or you end up as a 6 seed
right.
or a 7 or 8 seed, and you end up playing a Golden State or
right.
Phoenix in the first round. You know,
right.
and so
exactly.
so like, you know, there's a lot to that. But do I think that that this is definitely a playoff and a championship contender team? I think once they get everything together, for sure. But it's just a matter of when are they going to get it together and what's going to happen with these other teams while they're trying to figure out what's wrong with the starter and going to AutoZone to buy a new battery, you know, and these other cars are already on the freeway running, you know, so you got to kind of hope for them to fall off at the same time that the Lakers are kind of picking up. But who knows? Who knows? It's crazy. But I think it's getting time to close it out. So we're going to go on ahead and wrap this up. Whoever is listening, thank you for listening. We do appreciate you. Doual, any final words for the people?
Good night, people.
Good night. Sweet and simple. Hopefully we'll be back next week with O'Malley. If not, maybe we'll do this again next week, brother. Other than that, y'all, it's been great talking to you. The next show on the Double KK Double Network will come probably on Tuesday with this week's Cheap Pop podcast. We're going to be talking a little Hawkeye, some Arcane off of Netflix, etc. And then next Friday night with Double K's Classroom. So y'all keep an eye out. Thanks for listening in, and we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.